Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Marcus Carlson, and today we're sitting down with Pascal Lamy, the head of the World Trade Organization. He's here on the sidelines of the OECD's 50th anniversary in Paris. Welcome to the program, and thank you for speaking to us. Let's start with a general question about world trade. We saw world trade picking up again last year after the financial crisis. Where are we now in 2011? Is the curve still pointing upwards?
Well, we've just released our sort of check-up result, which we regularly do for the G20. Is both good news and bad news. Mm-hmm. The good news is that, as we had expected, world trade is rebounding very healthily. After the big drop we had during the crisis, we now are sort of back to normal on the big figures.
So what's the bad news then?
The bad news is that we've detected a number of protectionist developments in the last month, which paradoxically were not there in the midst of the crisis, as if this expected protectionist reaction from this big economic and social shock was happening after a bit of a time lag. So we've detected for the first time a worrying increase in tariff increases, in use of trade defense instruments, and in export restrictions, which unfortunately seems to be a new development in world trade politics.
Now, you and the World Trade Organization, you've raised the alarm. Do you think there is political willingness among world leaders to break down those barriers that are now being built up again?
That's what they say. That's what the G20 leaders have said repeatedly. Now, so far, the checkups we've done since 2008 have shown was roughly okay. This time, they have to consider the facts as they are and probably take the necessary decision to reinforce this willingness to resist these temptations.
Now, I want to move on to something that was meant to boost global trade, and that is the Doha trade round. That's now been going on for almost 10 years, negotiations to liberalize trade. Do you think there's light at the end of the tunnel? Are we going to see a deal on the table after all of these years?
Now, you're right. The purpose of these negotiations is to sort of modernize, update the rules of world trade to make them sort of more efficient and fairer. Things went reasonably well last year, beginning of this year, until we bumped into one specific obstacle between basically US and emerging countries on one specific issue, which is industrial tariff reduction. And as we work under a principle that nothing is agreed until everything is agreed, this hurdle has blocked the whole of the negotiation recently.
And are you hopeful that you're going to be able to jump over that hurdle at one point? And if so, when?
I think in the present conditions, given the wide gap between the positions of US on the one side and emerging countries on the other side, concluding the whole of the negotiation this year would really be a challenge. Mm-hmm. Now, what we are trying to do is see whether, if that's not possible, a sort of early harvest, sort of down payment, mostly focused on least developed countries, benefits from the round would be doable by the end of this year. And we are working with this with the members now. Too soon to say whether this would work, but sort of resequencing the negotiation as a consequence of the stalemate and in order to exit it is the idea we're working with at this time.
Pascal Lamy, thanks very much
indeed
for taking the time to speak to us today. And with that, we're going to wrap up the program. Thanks for watching.